Hello everyone, good evening. First of all, am I audible and clear? And can you see the video, the presentation? Yes? Yes. So let me continue. So good afternoon everyone. Welcome to all. Let's crack UPSC CSE English. So we have been seeing a series of discussions on important polity concepts. Fine. So today is one of the one such important concepts, devices of parliamentary proceedings. So we all know about parliament, and then we know about Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, we discussed about prime minister, we know about something about president, but we will be seeing in detail. But today, this parliamentary devices of parliamentary proceedings is very important, which is asked in examination again and again. For this session, I would like to thank Unacademy, India's largest learning platform, for providing us this opportunity, and also they give benefits to students. And I would like to thank for that. And about me, a small introduction, I'm an engineer basically. I have a 4 years of teaching experience, and I'm mentoring more than 100 students, even more than 1,000 students. For one class alone, I'm like meeting more than 500 to 600 students. So I'm an anthropology faculty too, and good news is that our anthropology class is going to be starting very soon, and I have a good experience in teaching NEET also. So this is my Telegram channel's link. You can find it in the video description too, and this is my Unacademy platform's profile link. So you can follow me in the platform Unacademy profile, and there you get the information related to all my classes. And also you have the recorded classes of my special class sessions. The special class session is concentrated especially for the prelims 2020. So I am doing a marathon type of sessions where we cover minimum of 100 most important questions from economics, 100 most important questions from geography, like I do it for all the subjects. It's a free session. You can just go and watch it from my profile. It's free and it's available even now, the recorded sessions. Fine. And what you get when you subscribe, you get daily live classes, live test and quizzes, structured courses, and unlimited access. Like you can go for n number of, you can go to the videos for n number of time. As I told you, the recorded sessions of my special classes, you can watch it n number of times. And then you can download this app also from Google Play and Apple Store according to your convenience, according to the OS you use. And you have the opportunity to interact with top educators. So they're all top educators, and they have the good experience about what you want for the examination. Fine. And then, so this is a subscription detail. So for this subscription, I give you my code SUBA Suba. So you get a 10% of subscription fee, 10% of offer on your subscription fee. Yes. And then this is the thing related to iconic and plus. So I always tell my learners, I always tell people to opt for iconic because you have a personal attention here. Generally, when you go to a class of 100 200 people, sometimes there is a possibility that the faculty might not even know your name. But when you go to iconic, you have personal coach, personal guidance, personal feedback. So when the educator know what you need to improve, and when you know what you need to improve properly, it's awesome. And that too, when you opt for iconic, it's really good for first attempt. You can save time, you can clear very soon, so that you can reach heights in your service. Now when you get promoted, the service period is very high in terms of iconic, I mean in terms of you clearing the examination in the first or second attempt itself. Like, so think about it. Iconic is very best for people who are giving your first attempt, and I am also giving my code SUBA Suba. You get a 10% of offer. Yes, and also in plus I am giving you my code SUBA Suba. You get a 10% of offer. Fine. Going into the today's class. See, this is a special class. We always do it in the form of MCQs. So MCQs is like interesting, at the same time very much helpful also. Please do check it. Check all my special classes. They're all recorded and free. Just go to the Unacademy platform, search for Suba Keerthana, go to my profile, search for special classes, free live classes, free special classes. Go there, and then you can open my sessions and you can watch all the classes. They're all recorded and they're all available for you. The PDF is also available for you. Fine. Going into the sessions today. Devices of parliamentary proceedings. So why this is very important is because in UPSC examination we get questions from this. Okay, very important. And in terms of mains also you need this. So for all these two things, this topic is very important. Maybe this topic many people are not, giving time to study to. Generally we discuss about president, everywhere people discuss about president, prime minister, Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, everything. But devices of parliamentary proceeding is very, very important. We will see how and why. First, question hour. So today everything is a device of parliamentary proceeding. So devices make the parliamentary proceeding more effective and useful. Fine. In that, first and foremost thing is question hour. Very, very, very important. Why this question hour is very important? Simply to say, the members of parliament are nothing but the representatives of people. So when there is a government, the people should ask questions to keep the government in line. That people cannot directly do. I mean, they can do, but not that effectively. So the representatives are given permission to ask questions. So in that, the first hour of parliamentary sitting is slotted for this. So parliamentary sitting, the first hour of parliamentary sitting is slotted for question hour. During this time, the members ask question and the ministers usually give answer. So who will ask question is the MPs, who are the representatives of people, and the ministers who are the governmental representative. So it is like people asking question to the government. Okay, so that is the main motive of question hour. And question hour is one of the devices which keep democracy intact. Okay, so in terms of mains, if there is any question related to write about Indian democracy, and then what are all the important factors that keep Indian democracy a success, obviously you should write about question hour, because this is the place where the people can ask question to the government. Here people in the sense the representatives of people, who are nothing but the members of parliament. Fine. The questions are of three kinds. What are those? They are start, unstart, and short notice. We'll see what is that. Fine. A start question requires an oral answer. Like, there is a question given, so they will be mentioning a star also. It's called a start question, and it requires an oral answer, and hence supplementary questions can follow. For example, I am giving you a test, like I'm asking questions. So when I ask you a question, you are giving me an answer. So obviously from your answer, I might raise another question. So a start question is usually answered, orally. So obviously a supplementary question can follow. But on the other hand, the unstart question requires a written answer. Usually in written answer, you don't have an, supplementary question. Like you give the question, you write the answer and give me, that's all. So there is no supplementary question for unstarred question. What is short notice? The name itself gives you. Short notice is given, in a very small notice, like less than 10 days. Okay, usually more than 10 days it is given for starred and unstarred. It means you are giving more time to prepare for the answer. But short notice question is less than 10 days and it is usually answered orally. Okay, yes. In addition to the ministers, the question can also be asked to the private members. Usually, I told you that, see guys, in terms of polity or any subject, please be very careful related to these collective words. See here, I told you, usually during this time, the members ask and the ministers usually give answer, but not always. Sometimes the ministers also can ask questions to the private members, or a private member here in the sense a non-minister MP. MP can ask question to an MP also. That is also there. Fine. A question may be addressed to a private member if the subject matter of the question relates to some bill, resolution, or other matter connected with the business of the house for which the member is responsible. So we know very well two kinds of bill is there: government bill or private bill. To be very simple, any question related to government bill is directed towards a minister. Any question related to a private bill is directed towards an MP or private member. Okay. On the other hand, usually MPs, non-minister MPs, are representatives of people. Ministers are representatives of government. So government, private, that's the only difference. Fine, clear about this? Fine. So we'll go to the next question, next topic. The procedure in regard to such question is same as that followed in the case of questions addressed to a minister. It can be a private member or it can be a government representative. The procedure is same. Okay, the only difference here is it start, unstart or short notice. Based on that, the question to the private members are printed in green, white, light pink and yellow color respectively. Okay, so start green, I'm writing it here. Start green, it is printed in green. Okay, unstarred, it's printed in white. And then short notice, pink, light pink. And finally, if a question is to a private member, it's in yellow. Very important. Fine. Starred green in color, unstarred white in color, short notice light pink, private member yellow. This is the only difference between private member and minister, and other than that everything is same. The procedure is same, only the print color is different. Okay, so this is to distinguish among themselves, that's all. What is zero hour? See, this zero hour is not mentioned in the rules of procedure. It's an innovation of Indian Parliament. Okay, it's an innovation of Indian Parliament, which is it's very good. Why? See, this is an informal device available to the members of Parliament to raise matters without any prior notice. So we saw in start, unstart, and short notice that short notice is the minimum time, which is less than 10 days. Usually for others, minimum of 10 days is needed, and above that also is required. For zero hour, I can just ask you just like this. Why? See here, for question hour, you give them the time to prepare for the answer, but in zero hour, it's more like a confrontation. You go and confront the minister. What is this? What is that? This kind of thing. Okay. So this is an informal device available to the members of the parliament to raise matter without prior notice. The zero hour starts immediately after the question hour. So the first hour is question hour, and then the second hour is for zero hour. Okay, until the agenda of the day, regular business of the house is taken up. But one thing about zero hour is it is an Indian innovation in the field of parliamentary proceeding and has been existence in 1960. That is one thing. And one more thing is, in zero hour, if there is any question asked, it is not compulsory to answer. Not compulsory to answer. Fine, keep this in mind. Not like starred, unstarred or short notice question. Here in terms of zero hour, it is not compulsory to answer the question raised against a minister. Fine, that's very important. And this is not from 1950 itself. It came into existence from 1962 only. Okay, so we have question hour, and then we have zero hour, and then normal business of the house. Okay, like they pass the bill or something like that. Next. Next is motions, very important. See, motions and resolutions are very important concept, because every motion have a unique reason behind it, and questions come from that. So what is this? Motions. No discussions on a matter of general public importance can take place except on a motion made with the consent of preceding officer. What does that mean? You cannot just introduce a motion. You should first get permission of the presiding officer. Who is the presiding officer of Lok Sabha? It's speaker. Of Rajya Sabha, its chairman. Okay, so this is applicable for both the house. First of all, getting the permission from the consent of the preceding officer, you bring in a motion, and then only you can discuss about a matter of general public importance. Fine? Yes. The house expresses its decisions or opinions on various issues to the adoption or rejection of motions moved by either ministers or private members. Fine. So before that, I would like to have a confirmation message from you people. I would like to know who are all in the class. Okay. So I would just like to know who are all in the class, so that it will be, comfortable for me also and you also, that okay, fine. Yes, just drop a message like, good afternoon, ma'am. I'm here, ma'am. Present here, ma'am. Anything like you wish. Fine. Next. The motions moved by the members to raise discussion on various matters fall into three principal categories, three major categories. What are those three major categories? Let's see. Substantive motion. What is substantive motion? It's a self-contained independent proposal dealing with a very important matter like impeachment of president or removal of chief election commission. So it's an independent proposal. Okay. So a single person is thinking like, okay, I want this to happen. So then it is called a substantive motion. Okay. The first is substantive motion means an independent person thinks that motion is needed, very important, like impeachment of president, removal of chief election commissioner, etc. Next is substitute motion. What is a substitute motion? That is moved in substitution of an original motion and proposes an alternative to it. For example, I am passing a motion, but that motion is not accepted by people. So some other person is bringing in a substitute for that motion. Okay, this didn't work. Let's go with this. That's called a substitution. So in schools and colleges, what happens if a faculty is absent? There's a substitution teacher comes. Okay, and especially we wish that even that substitution teacher is also absent that day. Yes, when there is a teacher absent, we'll be very happy, and when we know that there is a substitution teacher, we'll be very sad, and we know that that substitution teacher is very lenient and the teacher comes and says that do whatever you want quietly, we are very happy. Okay, keep this incident in your mind and think about the substitute motion. It's an alternative for the original motion. Okay, simple. So substantive motion, substitution motion, and subsidiary motion. What does subsidiary means? An additional motion. See, it is a motion that itself has no meaning and cannot see the decision of House without reference to original motion or proceedings of the House. Okay, so I'm repeating. First is substantive motion. Substantive motion is that self-contained. That motion is itself enough, and it is given for some important concept. Is called as substantive motion. Substitute motion. Substitute motion is like there is a motion passed, but that motion was not accepted, rejected, or failed, or anything. So you bring in a substitute for that. That's called a substitute motion. Subsidiary motion is like a additional. Okay, it's like a complement for one original motion. So that this motion alone has not any meaning. You have to go to the original motion so that you understand why this subsidiary motion is passed. Simple. This subsidiary motion is divided into three categories. So substantive, substitute, subsidiary. This subsidiary motion itself is having three types. What are those? Ancillary motion. It is used as a regular way of proceeding with various kinds of business. Superseding motion. It moved in course of debate on another issue and seeks to supersede that issue. So supersede is like there is one issue going on right now, number one, and you bring in a superseding motion and you say that this is more important than that, so think about it. That's superseding motion. Amendment. We know what is amendment. Modify or substitute. Only part of our original motion is called as amendment motion. Okay, so these are the important thing. See, I didn't get actually I didn't get confirmation message from everyone. People, please do drop confirmation message so that I will be aware like who are all present in the class. I would like to know the name of people also. Fine. Yes, thank you. Closure motion. So now this is the principal. This is the major category, 3 plus 3. So divided it into 3. So 3 plus 3. Now we are going into the each and every type of motion. First is closure motion. What is a closure motion? It is a motion moved by a member to cut short the debate on a matter before a house. So there is a debate going on. So there is a debate going on. It's taking a very long time, but that particular matter is very important that has to be given vote immediately on that day itself. So what happened? It is a motion moved by a member. A member is moving a motion saying that let's stop this debate and go for voting. Okay, let's cut short it. Why do we keep discussing? Let's go into action like that. So that is called as closure motion. So it's closing of the debate and going for the voting. That's called as closure motion. Okay, if the motion is approved by the house, in the sense obviously the speaker, and then they are taking the voting, it's majority, then they cut short the debate and go for the voting. Okay, fine. Hello Akshaya, hello. Yes. So there are four kinds of closure motion. What are those? We'll see. Simple closure. So it's one when a member moves that the matter have been sufficiently discussed, be now put to vote. Simple. Okay, it's like a member is saying like let's stop the debate and go for the voting. Simple motion. Simple closure. Closure by compartments. What they do is here they are like discussing different clauses of the bill. That particular compartment has to be put to vote. They're dividing the bill into compartment, and that particular compartment has to be put to vote. Okay, that is what is called as this closure by compartments. Okay, the debate covers a part as a whole, and the entire part is put to vote. That is called as closure by compartments. Kangaroo closure. Okay, so kangaroo closure. What is this kangaroo closure? Under this type, only important clauses are taken up for debate and voting, and the intervening clauses are skipped over. Like how kangaroo jumps, jumps, skipping like. So here what we do is, yes, the debate has to be taken place because it is very important to discuss. At the same time, we don't have much time and we have to go for voting. So what we do, we just discuss the important clauses, we just skip something not that important, and we go for voting. That's called as kangaroo class. Do you understand? So now do you understand what is called as kangaroo closure? So we have a debate going on right now. So a person is moving kangaroo closure motion. It means, okay, the debate has to take place. Let's just discuss the important part and we'll go for the vote. That's called as kangaroo closure. Next is guillotine. Guillotine. Have you ever seen guillotine, guys? In these movies, you have this kind of structure. Here a person's head will be kept, and here there will be a knife, okay, tied to something. So the rope will be held by some person here, okay. So this person, see, I'm really sorry for polity. I think this diagram is more than enough. Just I'm trying to explain guillotine, okay. This person leaves this, the knife goes and cuts that person's head, okay. Guillotine means cut short, stop it. Wherever we are, just stop it and they go for voting. So it is one where the undiscussed clauses of a bill or a resolution are also put to vote along with the discussed ones due to want of time. They stop where they are and just they go for voting. That's called as guillotine closure. Fine. So wherever you see the term guillotine, you have this gillette shaving blade that's named after this. Guillotine means the sharp blade. That method which was used. Okay. So that is what is the thing. So now do you understand the four types of closure motion? Simple closure, closure by compartments, kangaroo closure, guillotine closure. Next is privileged motion. Clear? Next, it is concerned with the breach of parliamentary privileges by a minister. So there are privileges in parliament, okay? So privileges are special powers or special events or something like that. If there is a minister who is breaching a privilege, is moved by a member when he feels that a minister has committed a breach of privilege of the house or one of more of its members by withholding facts of a case or giving wrong or distorted facts. For example, there is a minister or an MP or minister. Okay, so usually about a minister, so that minister is discussing some budget or discussing some bill or something. So an MP feels that this person is hiding something. Okay, this person is hiding something from parliament, or this person is cheating the parliament with some false facts. So in that case, this privilege motion is passed. Do you understand? So an MP thinks that an MP or another minister, general MP thinks that a minister is hiding some information, or not giving the right information, or giving wrong information, so that he is breaching the privilege of parliament or members, okay, using the distorted facts. So then the privilege motion is passed. Its purpose is to censure the concerned minister. Censure is like, pointing out that minister has committed a mistake is called as censure. Okay. So the main reason of privilege motion is to point out that minister is committing a problem, committing a mistake. Simple. That's called as privilege motion. Call in attention motion. What is call in attention motion? Fine. Calling attention. Come look at this. This is more important than whatever we are doing. That's called as call in attention motion. So it's introduced in the parliament by a member to call the attention of a minister to matter of urgent public importance. So the minister is busy in something. So a member of the parliament is getting the attention of the minister to look into some most important, urgent, public important concept. That is called as calling attention motion. Okay, we call them. Just look into this. This is the most important point, most important problem as of now is called as calling attention motion. Okay, like zero hour, it is also an Indian innovation in the parliamentary procedure and has been in existence in 1954. See, zero hour 1962. Calling attention motion 1954. Okay, very important. It is an innovation. Mostly questions from innovations are asked. Unlike the zero hours, see, zero hour though is innovation not mentioned in rules of procedure, but call in attention motion is mentioned in the rules of procedure. This is the major difference between zero hour and calling attention motion. Clear, guys? Yes? Shall I go to the next concept? Yes, fine. Adjournment motion. What is this adjournment motion? It is introduced in the parliament to draw the attention of the house. See, call in attention motion is you are getting the attention of a minister. Okay, it is introduced in parliament to call the attention of a minister. Adjournment motion is you are calling in the attention of the entire house to a definite matter of urgent public importance. And for adjournment motion, we need a minimum support of 50 members to be admitted. At least bringing that adjournment motion itself, 50 members should support that motion. Only then it can be introduced, and that it will draw the attention of the entire house. It can be Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. Okay, as it interrupts the normal business of the house, it is regarded as extraordinary device. See, very important. Have you ever seen this extraordinary device till now in the class today? No. See, this is like, when you bring the adjournment motion, it is like asking you to stop the entire house, to stop whatever it is doing and to look at what is happening now. That's called as that's why it is called as extraordinary device. Okay. The difference between calling attention and adjournment motion is, in calling attention motion, we get the attention of a minister, and in adjournment motion, we get the attention of an entire house. Fine? Yes. It involves an element of censure against the government, hence Rajya Sabha is not permitted. Okay, censure motion is like you point out a minister. So censure motion is a device of responsibility, and we know very well the ministers are not responsible to Rajya Sabha. So Rajya Sabha is not permitted to make use of this device. Okay, the discussion on an adjournment motion should last not less than 2 hours and 30 minutes. The maximum discussion for the adjournment motion is 2 hours 30 minutes only. Okay, for example, there is a business going on and the adjournment motion is passed and the entire house is looking at us, and what happens is that within 2 hours 30 minutes, for what matter they have called in the attention, they should go and discuss it and come back to the original business. Fine, that is what is about adjournment motion. It is not permitted in the Rajya Sabha. Clear? Yes. Next, the right to move a motion for adjournment of the business of the house is subject to following restriction. What is that? It should raise a matter which is definite, factual, urgent, and of public importance. You cannot raise the adjournment motion for anything. It should be definite, that the problem should be, given solution immediately. Then you should take that problem. And it should be factual. It should be real and it should be factual. And it should be very urgent. It has to be immediately discussed and it should be of public importance. Only then we can go for adjournment motion, and then it should not cover more than one matter. One matter is equal to one adjournment motion. Okay, you cannot call in for a cluster of matter for one adjournment motion. One matter, one adjournment motion. For next, you have to go for new adjournment motion. Fine, clear about this? Yes. Next, it should be restricted to a specific matter of recent occurrence and should not be framed in general terms. Okay, sometimes uh, when we ask in Viva, okay, we ask in Viva what is this and that, we say that this is that what happened was, no, this is the problem. This problem requires urgent matter. This is the factual details of this problem. So everything should be clear cut, and then only you can pass an adjournment motion, and that should have occurred recently, not in some 1960s. There is a problem going on right now. For example, in corona issue, you cannot take corona issue in general. Okay, you should take it like in COVID-19 situation, the financial terms or the taxes. What do we do related to the loan payments? So one important concept that should be addressed immediately should be taken care of. It should not raise a question of privilege. Fine. So you are passing an adjournment motion. There, this privilege motion should not come. Is the fact right or not? Right or not? The problem should not come. The fact should be right. The fact should be, genuine. That is the important thing. It should not revive discussion on a matter that has been discussed in the same session. Some business is going on. They are discussing that only. Some person will come and bring in a, adjournment motion. That is also not allowed. Okay. Next. It should not deal with any matter that is under adjudication of court. So it is in the court. We cannot discuss about that under adjournment motion. And it should not raise any question that can be raised on a distinct motion. So you can use some other motion for that. Instead, you are using adjournment motion, because adjournment motion is an extraordinary device. You cannot use it for just like that. Okay, something which needs call in attention. We should not use this adjournment motion. See, adjournment motion is an extraordinary device, which means only in the extraordinary situation we should be using that. So I'm repeating what are the exceptions. It should raise a matter of public importance, and it should be definite, factual, urgent. And then it should not cover more than one matter. At the same time, it should be restricted to a specific matter and should be framed in general terms. And it should not raise a question of privilege, which means the fact should be genuine. And you cannot bring in an adjournment motion for something we are actually discussing in that same session. And one more thing is that matter should be of recent occurrence. And it should not deal with any matter that is in the court. At the same time, you cannot use adjournment motion for some matter that you can actually use another simple motion, because it is a extraordinary device. Fine. Next. Clear, guys? Shall I go to the next point? Yes. Cool. No confidence motion. Very important. Excuse me, I'll just have some water. No confidence motion. Article 75 of Constitution says that the Council of Ministers shall be collectively responsible to Lok Sabha. What does that mean? The ministry stays in office so as long as it enjoys the confidence of majority of members from the Lok Sabha, which means only in the Lok Sabha we can pass this no confidence motion. Okay. So Lok Sabha can remove the ministry, not a single minister. Even no confidence motion we can only pass on entire ministry, not a single person. That is the importance of no confidence motion. No confidence motion is usually passed against the entire ministry. Okay, and that too can be passed only in Lok Sabha. That is why in Article 75 it is mentioned that the Council of Ministers shall be collectively responsible to Lok Sabha. Okay, fine. The motion of confidence has come up a new procedural device to cope up with emerging situation of fractured mandates resulting in hung parliament, minority governments and coalition governments. Usually after this no confidence motion, what happens is that, see, motion of confidence is different than no confidence motion. Motion of confidence is like a person should prove confidence. That's called as the government should prove confidence is called as confidence motion. No confidence motion is passed usually by the opposition party on the ruling party. Okay, yes. Yes, that's what I was about to say. No confidence motion is passed by the opposition party over the ruling party. Confidence motion is passed to prove that they have the confidence. Okay. The motion of confidence has come up as a new procedural device to cope up with the problems, like we have hung parliament, like you don't have council of minister after no confidence motion. Sometimes minority governments, we are working on the concept of first past post system, that is a party which got the majority of seats should rule. But when this no confidence motion is passed, what will happen? Sometimes minority government come into the rule and coalition governments are also formed. Okay, yes. The government of the day sometimes on its own seeks to prove its majority by moving a motion of confidence. So keep this in mind. No confidence motion, opposition party passes. Confidence motion, ruling party passes. Okay, very important. Okay, the confidence motion is negative, it results in fall of the government. Okay, yes. Motion of thanks. Motion of thanks is generally done by the president. Just now whatever motions we saw or done by the MPs and ministers. Motion of thanks is done by the president. When does that take places? After every session of the general elections, and also during every sitting of the house of the sessions. The president outlines the policies and programs of the government in the preceding year. Okay, so generally we have this vote of thanks at the end, but here the motion of thanks is at the starting. Keep that in mind. Okay, at the first session, or at the initiation of any session, the president outlines the policies and the programs of the government of that of previous year. That's called as motion of thanks. So this is related to the speech from the throne in Britain, linked to the speech from the throne in metal, and here in our parliament is called as motion of thanks. Okay, it is discussed in both the house of parliament. Fine. Yes, at the end of the session the motion is put to vote. This motion must be passed in the house, otherwise it amounts to the defeat of government. So if this motion of thanks is not passed, it means it's a defeat of government. This inaugural speech of the president is an occasion available to the member of parliament to raise discussion and debates to examine and criticize the government and administration for its lapses and failure. So previous year the president, whatever happened, he'll be telling, he'll be like giving a speech, and that is passed to vote. So when it fails, the motion of thanks fails, it means the government, the present ruling government, has failed. Okay, so that is a place where the opposition party and members of parliament can actually criticize the government. They can raise questions, they can criticize the government before putting it to vote. Okay, though the motion of thanks is presented by the president, it is related to the government, not about the president. Okay, keep that in mind. No day it named motion. Read the agenda. Agenda means which is going to be in future. Here what has done and what has happened in the previous year. Agenda, what do you call as agenda, is what is going to happen today or what is going to happen in future is agenda. So motion of thanks is something about what has happened in the previous year, and the president is going to tell us what has happened in the previous year. And the parties, the opposition party and the members will be criticizing it and passing it to vote. Okay, clear now? Yes. No day it named motion. It is a motion that has been admitted by the speaker, but no date has been fixed for its discussion. The speaker, after considering the state of business in the house and in consultation with the leader of house, who's leader of the house? Usually, prime minister is the leader of the house. Okay, leader of the Lok Sabha is prime minister. Or the recommendation of the business advisory committee allots a day or days or part of a day for the discussion of such motion. Okay, something that has to be discussed, some matter that has to be discussed, but the speaker has not given any date specifically. Later it will be discussed, with the leader of the house. Here speaker is nothing but who's the presiding officer of Lok Sabha, and who's the leader of Lok Sabha? The head of the ruling party. And who will be usually the leader of ruling party? Prime minister. Okay, yes, and allots a day or days of part of a day for discussion. Okay, yes. Dilatory motion, it is motion for adjournment of debate on a bill, motion, resolution, etc., or motion to retard or delay the progress of business under the consideration. Dilate means delay something. There is a discussion going on, so let's delay it. Let's not take it to vote now. That is called as dilatory motion. It can be moved by a member at any time after a motion has been made. Debate on dilatory motion must be restricted to the matter contained in such motion, not beyond that motion. Next, if the speaker of the opinion that such a motion is an abuse of rule of the house, he may either forthwith put the question thereon or decline to propose the question. So under this dilatory motion, if the speaker decides that is not appropriate, he can decline to propose the question also. Okay, next, point of order. So member can raise a point of order when proceeding of the house do not follow the normal rules of procedure. We have this rules of procedure of parliament. So rules of procedure is how everything should happen in parliament is called as rules of procedure. And if a member thinks that that day the session is not following the rules of procedure, he can raise a point of order. It's like questioning, are we following the rules or not, like that. Okay, a point of order should relate to the interpretation or enforcement of rules of the house or such articles of constitution that regulates the business of the house, and should raise a question that is within the cognizance of speaker, not beyond the power of speaker. Okay, within the speaker, what the speaker knows, and within it is in the constitution and rules of procedure. Okay, that's called as point of order. It is usually raised by an opposition member in order to control the government. The opposition member thinks that mostly it is more powerful related to the opposition member only. Okay, if the opposition member thinks that the government is uncontrollable, they are not following the rules of procedure, then they can raise this point of order. It's an extraordinary device. This is also an extraordinary device as it suspends the proceedings before the house. Okay, like adjournment motion, this also can suspend the proceeding before the house, and no debate is allowed on a point of order. When a point of order is raised, they should definitely follow it. Okay, that's an extraordinary device. It should state the reasons for its adoption in the Lok Sabha. It need not state the reasons for its adoption in the Lok Sabha. It can be moved. It can either state the reason or it need not state the reason. It can be moved against an individual minister or a group of minister or entire council of minister. It can be moved by the entire council of ministers only. Okay. If it is passed in the Lok Sabha, the Council of Ministers need not resign from office. It is not no confidence motion. If it is passed, if it is passed in the Rajya Sabha, it is passed in the Rajya Sabha, the ministers need not resign. But if it is passed in the Lok Sabha, the ministers must resign from the office. Fine. Next, half an hour discussion. So we have this we have question hour, we have 0 hour. What is this half an hour discussion? It is meant for discussing a matter of sufficient public importance which has been subjected to a lot of debate and answer to which elucidation on a matter of fact. Okay. For example, there is something of public importance and which has been subjected to a lot of debate, and we need an answer immediately. Okay, that is what we call it as half an hour discussion. The speaker can allot 3 days in a week for such discussions. There is no formal motion or voting before the house. Okay, so there is a sufficient public matter of sufficient public importance, and it has been discussed a lot, but we need a solution. So there we have this half an hour discussion session, and for this there is no formal motion needed. The speaker can allot 3 days a week he can allot for this, or voting before the house also can be done under this. Short duration discussion, it is known as 2 hour discussion. That is a half an hour discussion. It is a 2 hour discussion session, which means not more than 2 hours. So members of parliament can raise such discussion on a matter of urgent public importance, and speaker can allot 2 days in a week. See, half an hour discussion, 3 days in a week. Okay, and they discuss it for half an hour, and sufficient public importance. But 2 hour discussion is urgent public importance, and urgent public importance, and 2 days in a week is allotted for short duration discussion. It is neither a formal motion before the house nor voting. The device has been in existence in 1953 only. It's a discussion. Okay, it's not a formal thing. It's a discussion given for urgent public importance. Okay, but we have this kind of discussion in terms of calling attention motion and adjournment motion. It's a formal discussion, and definitely there will be a vote following it. But short duration discussion is an informal motion. Okay, it's not a motion, it's a device. The speaker decides that we need proper discussion on this matter for 2 hours minimum, then he can go for the short duration discussion. And it is existence only from 1953. Special mention. A matter which is not a point of order or which cannot be raised during a question hour, half an hour discussion, short duration discussion, or under adjournment motion, call in motion, or any rules of the house. Okay, so a matter which is important but cannot be brought under any of these devices. Till now we discussed many devices. It cannot come under any of these devices, then it can be raised under the special mention in Rajya Sabha. Okay, in Lok Sabha it is equivalent with this known as notice or mention under the rule of 377. In Rajya Sabha it is called as special mention. In Lok Sabha it is called as notice mention under the rule 377. Okay, is equivalent to the procedural device in the Lok Sabha. Fine. Special mention is in Rajya Sabha. Keep it in mind. Fine. Next. Resolutions. Now, whatever we saw are motions. Now we are seeing resolutions. We will also see the difference between resolutions and motions. Don't worry. The members can move resolutions to draw the attention of House or the government to matters of general public interest. The discussion of resolution is strictly relevant to and within the scope of resolution. A member who has moved a resolution or amendment to a resolution cannot withdraw the same except by leave of the House. So a person is bringing a resolution, he cannot withdraw the resolution without losing his, without losing the house, which is without losing the post of MP. Okay, what is this? Resolutions are classified into three types. Private members resolution, which is simple, moved by a private member. Private member means non-minister. It is discussed only on alternate Fridays in the afternoon sitting, which means every week we have a Friday, that is 4 Fridays in a month. Let's take first Friday, second Friday, third Friday, fourth Friday. It's discussed on first Friday, then not on second Friday, then on the third Friday only. That too in the afternoon sitting it is discussed. That's called as the private members resolution. Next is government resolution. It is moved only by a minister. It can be taken up any day from Monday to Thursday. You can see the private members resolution is not given that importance like government resolution. Okay, next is statutory resolution. We know what is statutory. It means related to some parliamentary act. So it can be moved either by a private member or a minister. It is so called because it was always tabled in pursuance of a provision in the constitution or an act of parliament. When the discussion is related to a parliamentary provision or an act of parliament, it is called a statutory resolution. Resolutions are different from motion, very important. How? Ma'am, both sound similar. You are going to discuss something and you are going to put into vote. What is the difference? See, all resolutions come into the category of substantive motion. What do we call it as substantive motion? A motion which is self-sustained. Okay, it has everything in it. It doesn't need any other extra things. That's called a self-sustained motion. Every resolution in particular type of motion, all motion need not necessarily be substantive. Further, all motions are not necessarily put to vote of the House, but resolutions are required to voted upon. So when there are motions which are passed, voting is done or not. Okay, but in terms of resolution, it should be definitely taken to vote. On the other hand, motions are not substantive. They might need a substitute motion or a subsidiary motion. But resolutions are like sure shot, single shot. That is what is it. That's all. We don't need any addition to that or deletion to that or anything. Okay, that is what is resolution. So this is what is very important. We saw the important devices of parliament. See, these motions are very important, guys. Just go and revise again. I'll just have a, I'm just going to do a short discussion. Important points alone of all the topics I'm repeating. Question hour. So it's important device of democracy. We have three types: starred, unstarred, short notice, and you should know the difference. Starred by oral, unstarred by written, short notice either oral, usually oral. Okay. Next, we have 0 hour innovation of parliament. After the first session is first session is question hour, second session is 0 hour. Usually ministers are asked question by the private member. Generally in this, there is no compulsion that the minister should definitely answer in the questions raised in the 0 hour. It's an innovation of parliament which is in force from 1962. Then motions. So motions are very important, which is passed for the discussion of public importance. There are three major types of motion: substantive, substitute, subsidiary. And then in this, substantive means self-sustained. It contains everything. Substitute is it's a substitution for some other original motion. Subsidiary means it's a complement for an original motion. Okay. And then in that subsidiary you have three types. Okay. And then closure motion means we have to cut short a debate and go for voting, is called as closure motion. And then privilege motion means when there is a person who is feeling that a minister has crossed the privilege of the House or an individual by hiding some facts or giving wrong facts or something, is called as privilege motion. Privileged motion is like a censure, okay? So censure to a concerned minister. So it's a problem actually. Call in attention motion is like asking for attention of a minister. Adjournment motion is like calling the attention of the entire house. It's an extra, extraordinary device because the entire house stops whatever business they are doing and they are coming into a specific matter on which the adjournment motion is passed. And in this adjournment motion, there are certain conditions that we saw. So revise that condition, very important. Okay. Yes. And then what happened is like we went to this no confidence motion and confidence motion. No confidence motion is usually passed by an opposition party on the ruling party. When no confidence motion is passed, then the ruling party or the council of ministers will be dissolved. Confidence motion is usually initiated by the ruling party to prove their majority. If that fails, the entire council of ministers should resign or the government will get dissolved. Fine. Next, motion of thanks is done by the president. It's like whatever happened in the previous year, then it is put to vote. Motion of thanks fails, then what happened? The government is failed. Okay, the council of ministers should resign. Okay, yes. Next, no day yet named motion. The speaker will decide, date is not mentioned, and by discussing with the leader of the house, usually the prime minister or the business advisory committee, the day is decided. Okay. Next, dilatory motion is like, let's take more time. That's dilatory motion. And then point of order is like when there is a question related to are we following the rules of procedure, it's point of order. Usually when point of order is passed in the Lok Sabha, the ministry has to resign. Okay. Next, half an hour discussion. It is related to a matter of sufficient public importance. Short duration discussion is of urgent public importance. Okay, it's not more than 2 hours, and 2 days in a week is allotted for short duration discussion. And then special mention. Special mention is like out of all these motions, if something is not passed, then we bring it in the special motion. It's usually in the Rajya Sabha. It is equated with the procedural device in the Lok Sabha under the rule 377. Okay. Resolutions are passed. The one important difference between resolution and the motion is that resolution should definitely put to vote, but motions sometimes are put to vote, sometimes are not put to vote. But resolutions are substantiate within themselves. There is no addition for them, but motions have subsidiary or substitute for them. This is about the most important devices of parliamentary proceedings. Clear, guys? Any doubt in today's session? Very important concepts. This, please do compare and study. Don't just study by itself. Just compare different motions, which is in Lok Sabha, which is in Rajya Sabha. All these things, comparison should be done. Okay. Thank you so much. Do go to my profile and watch all these special classes. It's recorded and you can watch it anytime. Do watch it. Very useful. It's free also. Okay. Please make use of it for this prelims 2020. Fine. Thank you so much. Meet you all tomorrow. Tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. special class session. We are going to finish Geography 100. We are finishing the Geography marathon tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. And afternoon 2:30, we'll be having a discussion on polity again. And one more important thing is, from today we are starting classes related to anthropology. I'm not starting the concept straight away. I would like to first, give introduction. I would like to make you understand the demands of UPSC from anthropology optional opting people. Then we will go into the class so that it will be even more helpful. Okay. So thank you so much and have a nice day. Happy meeting you all, and it's a pleasure taking class for you people. Thank you so much. And like this video, share this video, and use my code SUBA to get a 10% of discount. Okay. So this is my code SUBA. You get a 10% of offer. Fine. Okay. Thank you so much. Meet you all. Bye bye.